Have you ever found yourself lost in a place so unsettling, so mysterious, that every step you take seems to only pull you deeper into its grip? Imagine a field of tall grass stretching as far as the eye can see, a place where time bends and reality fades away. In the Tall Grass, 2019, directed by Vincenzo Natali, brings this chilling nightmare to life. Based on a novella by the legendary Stephen King and his son Joe Hill, this movie dives into the heart of terror and confusion, where the familiar becomes twisted and the rules of nature no longer apply. But what makes this story so haunting? Why does this field feel so alive? And what dark secrets does it hide beneath the rustling blades? In this video, we'll take a closer look at the eerie plot, uncover hidden symbolism, and explore the psychological horror that makes In the Tall Grass a truly unsettling experience. By the end, you'll have a deeper understanding of the film's twisted narrative and the hidden layers of meaning that may have gone unnoticed. But beware. This movie isn't just about getting lost in a field, it's about getting lost in your own mind. So, if you're ready to venture into the tall grass and uncover its secrets, stick with us until the very end. Welcome to Movies Review. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an eerie and thrilling breakdown like this one. Now, let's step into the grass together, and in the Tall Grass, the story begins with two seemingly ordinary characters, Becky and Cal, embarking on a road trip through the rural stretches of Kansas. Becky, a young woman pregnant with her first child, and Cal, her protective older brother, are on their way to visit an old friend. But what starts as an uneventful drive takes a sinister turn when they stop on the side of the road to hear the cries of a young child coming from a vast field of tall grass. Compelled by a sense of responsibility and concern, they venture into the field to find the source of the sound. However, as they step deeper into the thick, unsettling grass, they quickly realize that the field is no ordinary place. It seems endless, shifting and changing in a way that disorients them, trapping them in a maze of overgrown vegetation. With every step they take, the grass seems to rearrange itself, confusing their sense of direction and leaving them further isolated from the world outside. Time itself begins to warp, making it impossible for them to find a way out. Along the way, they encountered Tobin, a young boy who claims to have been in the field for a long time and whose knowledge of the maze-like nature of the grass seems almost supernatural. As Becky and Cal try to find their way back to the road, they discover that they are not alone. A mysterious force lurks within the grass, influencing their every move. The field is alive, and its power is both terrifying and inescapable. The struggle to escape becomes a battle against not just the confusing geography of the field, but against something far more sinister. As the siblings move through the ever-shifting grass, they begin to lose track of time. They encounter themselves in different moments, trapped in an endless loop of time, repeating the same events over and over again. With each turn, their desperation grows, and the stakes become more dire. The grass holds secrets, and these secrets might just cost them everything. Psychological horror. At its core, In the Tall Grass is a psychological horror film that plays with the most basic human fears: isolation, confusion, and the unknown. As Becky and Cal try to navigate their way out, they quickly realize that the grass is not just a physical barrier, but a manifestation of their own fears and uncertainties. The twisting, endless maze of the field serves as a metaphor for the internal struggles each character faces. Becky's pregnancy is one such struggle. She is haunted by the decision of whether she should keep the child, and the grass itself seems to amplify her fears of motherhood. Cal, on the other hand, is burdened by guilt over his past mistakes and a deep need to protect his sister. The horror in the film is not just supernatural, but psychological. The field itself manipulates their emotions, feeding on their insecurities and amplifying their sense of helplessness. Time and space. of the most disturbing elements of the film is how the field distorts time and space, trapping the characters in a never-ending loop. At first, it might seem like the characters are simply lost in the field, but as the story progresses, it becomes clear that time behaves differently here. The field does not only confuse the characters' sense of direction, but also their perception of time. They encounter themselves at different points, often finding themselves repeating the same events. This manipulation of time leads to a sense of futility and frustration, as there is no escape from the endless cycle. The field itself seems to bend the very fabric of reality, making the characters' efforts to escape both hopeless and maddening. Human nature. Another central theme in the movie is the exploration of human nature under extreme circumstances. As Becky, Cal, and Tobin are pushed to their limits, we witness the darker sides of their personalities emerge. Cal's protective instincts are challenged when he begins to question whether saving his sister is even possible. Becky, who initially comes across as a vulnerable woman in need of help, finds strength in unexpected ways, showing that desperation often brings out the survival instinct in people. The isolation and confusion within the grass force each character to confront their own vulnerabilities and desires. And in doing so, they reveal just how far they are willing to go to survive. The human struggle in the Tall Grass is not just against the supernatural force, but against themselves. Nature's power. The field itself is more than just a backdrop to the story. It becomes a living, breathing entity, almost like a character in its own right. The grass symbolizes nature's uncontrollable power, a force that humans cannot control or even comprehend. As the characters are drawn deeper into the field, it becomes clear that they are no longer in control of their fate. The field seems to have its own will, and it is not afraid to toy with them. It's a stark reminder of how nature, though beautiful and serene on the surface, can also be indifferent and destructive when it chooses to be. In this case, the grass is not a passive force. It is an active participant in the horror, representing the idea that nature can be far more menacing and chaotic than we often imagine. Becky. Becky is the character who evolves the most over the course of the film. At the start, she is portrayed as a young woman facing a life-changing decision, whether to keep the child she's carrying. This internal struggle mirrors her external journey in the field. As she navigates the horror of the tall grass, Becky transforms from someone uncertain and vulnerable to someone who will do whatever it takes to survive. Her desperation to escape the field is not just for herself, but also for her unborn child, which adds a layer of complexity to her character. Throughout the movie, we see her balance vulnerability and strength, with the field pushing her to confront her deepest fears about motherhood and survival. Cal. Cal's character is driven by his need to protect his sister, but as the movie progresses, it becomes clear that Cal is also carrying a lot of emotional baggage. He is haunted by his past mistakes, and this guilt seems to manifest in the maze of the field. His protective instincts become more intense as he realizes that not only is his sister in danger, but so is he. His character arc involves grappling with his self-doubt and realizing that no amount of protection can save them from the sinister force they are trapped in. Cal's journey is also a struggle to come to terms with his own flaws and limitations, which adds a layer of realism to the horror. Tobin. Tobin is the child who seems to know more about the field than anyone else. His cryptic statements and eerie knowledge of the maze suggest that he has been trapped in the field for far longer than Becky and Cal. He is caught in the same loop that the others find themselves in, and it's unclear whether he is a victim of the field's power or something else entirely. Tobin's role in the story is to act as a guide, but also a reminder of the terror and hopelessness of being trapped in the field for eternity. His character is both unsettling and tragic, as he seems to have lost his innocence, a victim of the supernatural forces that haunt the grass. the mystery force. The force within the grass is never fully explained, adding to the film's sense of unease. It is a malevolent presence that distorts time, space, and human perception. It controls the events within the grass, guiding and manipulating the characters to fulfill its unknown purpose. This force is a symbol of the unknown and the uncontrollable, a terrifying reminder of how little we truly understand about the world around us. Its presence is constant, lurking just out of sight, yet it affects everything the characters do. It is not a traditional villain. Instead, it represents the inescapable nature of fate and the existential horror of being trapped in a place where time and space lose all meaning. The atmosphere of In the Tall Grass is one of its most compelling elements, and it's something that drives the eerie tone of the film from start to finish. From the moment Becky and Cal enter the field, there's a palpable sense of unease that gradually intensifies. The tall grass itself isn't just a physical environment, it becomes a living, breathing entity that dominates the character's every move. Its suffocating nature creates a feeling of confinement, as if the characters are in a space that they cannot escape, no matter how hard they try. The sound design plays a huge role in amplifying this sense of dread. The wind rustling through the grass, the occasional distant cry of Tobin, and the eerie silence that follows each disturbing moment all contribute to the atmosphere. It's not just about what the characters see, it's what they hear and feel. The grass is alive, and every sound adds another layer of discomfort to the growing tension. The pacing of the film also contributes to the atmosphere. As the characters venture deeper into the field, the sense of time becomes increasingly distorted. The field is not only an external force trapping them physically, but also manipulating their perception of time. The constant repetition of events, the sense of déjà vu, and the characters' growing desperation create a mounting tension. The film plays with your senses, making you feel as trapped as the characters themselves. Visually, the film also enhances the feeling of isolation and terror. The camera often focuses on the endless stretch of grass, making it feel infinite and claustrophobic at the same time. The landscape becomes an unyielding, impassable barrier, and as the characters' movements become more erratic, it's clear that they are no longer in control. Every turn feels like they are walking into the unknown, and the viewer shares in their growing sense of helplessness. The atmosphere in the Tall Grass is what keeps the audience on edge, and it's one of the film's strongest elements. It takes something as simple as a field of tall grass and transforms it into a character of its own, one that holds a strange power over those who venture into it. Director Vincenzo Natali, known for his work on Cube and Splice, brings a unique, methodical approach to In the Tall Grass. His direction is a key reason why the film maintains such an intense atmosphere of suspense and dread. Natali uses the setting of the field not just as a backdrop, but as a pivotal element that shapes the characters' experiences. By focusing on the unsettling nature of the grass, he enhances the psychological horror that builds throughout the film. One of Natali's standout choices is his use of camera angles. The tight, claustrophobic shots in the beginning convey a sense of entrapment, while later, the wide-angle shots of the endless grass give viewers the impression that the characters are lost in an infinite maze with no way out. This disorienting perspective helps put the audience in the same mental state as the characters, constantly lost, overwhelmed, and powerless. The way he frames the grass, always swaying, always shifting, reinforces the idea that nature itself is alive, constantly in motion, and far more dangerous than it initially appears. In terms of sound design, Natali uses silence strategically. When the grass rustles and the wind howls, it's a constant reminder of the looming danger. But when everything goes quiet, the silence becomes even more oppressive. The absence of sound makes the environment feel even more alien and hostile, and it keeps the viewer on edge, wondering when the next horrifying moment will unfold. Silence in the Tall Grass is not an escape from the tension. It is a tool to make the unease even more unbearable. Another directorial choice worth noting is Natali's handling of time. The film's non-linear structure, where the characters repeatedly encounter events from different moments in time, creates a sense of disorientation. Natali does not shy away from the confusion this causes. He leans into it, creating a film that reflects the characters' mental and emotional breakdowns. Their struggle to understand what is happening around them mirrors the audience's experience as they try to piece together the fractured narrative. By using space, time, sound, and silence, Natali masterfully crafts a sense of growing dread, forcing the audience to experience the confusion and terror that the characters face. His direction turns an ordinary location into something far more menacing, turning a simple field into a source of supernatural horror. The pacing of In the Tall Grass is deliberately slow and methodical, contributing to the overall feeling of unease and dread. At first, the film lulls the audience into a false sense of normalcy. Becky and Cal's journey starts out simply enough, with them stopping on the side of the road, hearing a child's cry and deciding to investigate. However, as they enter the field, things start to take a turn, and the pacing reflects this gradual descent into horror. The slow pacing, in many ways, mirrors the disorientation of the characters. As they wander deeper into the field, time seems to bend, and the events become increasingly disjointed. The characters are trapped in an endless loop, unable to escape the field's grasp. The repetition of certain scenes, where they encounter versions of themselves from different moments in time, serves to heighten the sense of confusion and helplessness. The audience is pulled into this loop, much like the characters, and it builds a psychological tension that's not reliant on traditional jump scares, but rather on a creeping, slow-burn unease. This slow pacing, however, can also be a double-edged sword. While it builds tension and atmosphere, it may leave some viewers feeling frustrated or lost, especially if they're expecting a quicker resolution. The non-linear structure of the film requires patience, and it challenges the audience to stay engaged despite the confusion. It's an intentional choice that plays into the psychological horror element. The more the characters struggle, the more the audience feels trapped in the same cycle of despair. Despite the moments of confusion, the pacing manages to keep the audience intrigued, slowly unraveling the mystery of the field and the sinister force within it. Each moment of uncertainty adds to the tension, making the eventual horror feel all the more oppressive. It's a deliberate choice to keep things slow, allowing the sense of dread to build organically over time, rather than relying on quick thrills. As with any film, In the Tall Grass is not without its share of criticism, particularly regarding its complex plot and the ambiguity surrounding the supernatural elements. One of the main critiques revolves around the complexity of the story. The film's non-linear structure and the shifting nature of the field can be disorienting for some viewers, leaving them confused about what is actually happening. The time loops and the characters' repeated encounters with themselves may feel more like a puzzle than a cohesive narrative, and for some, this lack of clarity can be frustrating. The film leaves many questions unanswered, and some viewers may feel unsatisfied with the open-ended nature of the story. Another point of criticism is the supernatural aspect of the film. While the field itself is presented as an almost malevolent force, the film never fully explains what it is or why it has such power. This ambiguity, while effective in building suspense, may also leave some viewers wanting more concrete answers. Some may feel that the film's refusal to clarify the nature of the force within the grass makes it seem like a cop-out, leaving the audience to wonder if the filmmakers intended to leave the mystery unresolved or if they simply ran out of ideas. Additionally, the film's lack of resolution can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, the open-ended conclusion leaves viewers with lingering questions, enhancing the sense of unease that the film builds up. On the other hand, It may come across as unsatisfying for those looking for closure or a clear explanation. The film's refusal to neatly tie up loose ends could be seen as a missed opportunity to provide a more satisfying payoff to the tension it builds throughout. Despite these critiques, In the Tall Grass is still an effective horror film, particularly for those who enjoy psychological tension and ambiguity. Its ability to keep viewers engaged, even as it weaves a complex and at times confusing narrative, is a testament to its atmospheric strength. However, for those expecting more conventional horror or a clear-cut storyline, the film's complexity may prove to be a hindrance. In the Tall Grass is a film that lingers long after the credits roll, leaving viewers with a sense of unease and a flood of unanswered questions. Its eerie atmosphere, suspenseful pacing, and exploration of psychological horror combine to create a uniquely unsettling experience. Directed by Vincenzo Natali, the film weaves a complex, non-linear narrative that challenges viewers to question the nature of time, space, and the darker corners of human nature. The Tall Grass is not just a setting, it's a living, breathing entity that traps the characters in a maze of confusion and terror, reflecting the internal chaos they experience. While the film's ambiguity and lack of resolution may leave some viewers frustrated, it's precisely this sense of mystery that enhances the horror. The film doesn't offer easy answers, and in that sense, it's a true psychological thriller, forcing the audience to confront their own fears and anxieties as they watch the characters struggle to find an escape. The supernatural force within the grass remains elusive, allowing the viewer to interpret its meaning in their own way, which adds to the eerie tone. Ultimately, In the Tall Grass is a film that's not just about what you see, but about what you feel. It taps into primal fears of being lost, trapped, and helpless, fears that resonate long after the film ends. It may not offer all the answers, but that's what makes it so compelling. For fans of horror that leaves a lasting impression, this movie is a must-watch. If you enjoy films that make you think and feel on a deeper level, In the Tall Grass provides an unforgettable experience, one that will keep you questioning reality long after the screen goes dark.